folks, it's Jeff here. Just a quick reminder, if you're loving Disney Coast to Coast, there are a couple of easy ways that you can support the show. We'd love it if you could rate and review us on iTunes, or wherever you listen to the show. This is a simple way to help other Disney fans find us. Also, go ahead and share your favorite episodes on social media and be sure to tag us. You can find all of our social media information at DisneyCoastToCoast.com. And finally, I just want to say thank you to all of you who listen every week. Your support is very appreciated, and we love that you're enjoying our Disney geekiness. Now on with the show.
Are you craving a trip on Space Mountain? Well, we've got the next best thing. Welcome to Disney Coast to Coast.
Hey folks, and welcome to Disney Coast to Coast, the ultimate unofficial Disney fan podcast. I'm Jeff DePauli, and today on the show, I have special guest Vanessa Marshall joining me, who is a voice actress on animated shows including Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers Assemble, and many Star Wars projects where she originated the role of Hera Syndulla. Vanessa has a long and successful career as a voice actress, and some of her earliest projects included Disney video games like Kingdom Hearts 2, The Haunted Mansion, and more. I had a great time chatting with her, and I hope you enjoy our conversation, so let's jump to that right now. Vanessa, thank you so much for coming on the show. This is exciting to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored. Thank you.
Your credits are insane.
Aw.
Like, very impressive voiceover resume. But before we get into like the current animation you're doing, you really started in video games, and you did quite a few video games for Disney.
Yes, I did, actually. Yeah.
I'm going to list off some of them. Let's see how many of them you remember.
Okay.
Because, I mean,
yeah.
Your resume is so big that I'm like, oh, there's no way you can remember all of these projects. But Lion King.
Totally. Nala. I love doing that.
Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The Haunted Mansion.
Yes.
Which I never even heard of. What was that for? Do you know?
That was a while ago. I want to say that I did the crystal ball.
Oh, you were Madame Leota?
Madame Leota, that's it. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Wow, that's a sweet
Yeah,
gig.
I believe. Yeah, it was something like that. I might be confusing it with something else, but yeah, they and different ghosts, I think.
Yeah, because they never hire you for one thing, do they?
No, you got to cover a couple things. Yeah.
That's how you get hired.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
And that's like, they just came out with a third one, I think, right?
I think so, yeah.
Which is blown up. And people who are into Kingdom Hearts are into Kingdom Hearts.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End.
Yes. What was I for that? I'm trying to remember.
I know, it does get crazy.
I feel like a pirate or a swashbuckling something. Yeah.
So I'm curious, were you a gamer at all?
Well, I sort of was. I played a lot of Madden football and the NHL hockey.
That's hilarious.
On PlayStation like a billion years ago. I love sports. I really do. But I tried, when I got the voice of Olga in Metal Gear Solid, I tried to play that. It's just too hard. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean...
Oh, I'm the worst.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, it's really intense with all the buttons and what have you. I don't know. So I would basically just have my friends come over and play the game so that I could watch and see sort of where my character ends up, or, you know.
Yeah.
But I was not really capable of doing that for myself. But I wish I could. I have all the consoles, but...
Do you really?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, because I keep trying. I keep thinking like, you know what? Today's the day. Everything's going to change. I'm going to understand this, and it just doesn't pan out.
I'm terrible at it, and I just accept that fact.
Yeah.
Like, literally the only game I've ever beaten was Aladdin for Super Nintendo.
Ooh,
from like way back.
That's impressive. That's impressive.
I don't know. That's back when there were like only 6 buttons on the remote, or 4 or something.
Right.
And yeah, I've never even beat like the original Super Mario Brothers.
Oh,
like, I'm a
gosh.
terrible gamer.
Wow.
Yeah.
As a kid, I used to play Pac-Man, Defender. I would take like a bag of quarters to the arcade.
Really?
I did like video games in that sense, but the pyrotechnics are so intense these days, and the things that you can do, that it's just... Defender was like, the smart bomb was my go-to, and that was like my signature move, and it was successful.
I'm curious if you know about this place in Pasadena, and they have a second location now called Neon Retro Arcade.
No, but that sounds awesome.
You need to, okay, because I'm like you. I enjoy the like the nostalgia going
Yes.
to a video shop with
Sure.
the quarters type of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So this is a place you pay $10 to get in, and the games are all free, and you have an hour to just
What?
play.
Oh my gosh.
And they have like, I love pinball machines.
Yeah.
So they have the old school pinball machines and just Pac-Man and all that
Brilliant.
old stuff.
That's so brilliant.
Yeah, right in Pasadena, Neon Retro Arcade.
I guess they figured you can play about $10 worth of stuff
Yeah,
in about
that's
an
it.
hour.
And it's better than carrying around the quarters.
Yeah.
And they're pretty, like, what they do is they stick basically an entrance time on your chest as a sticker.
yeah.
And then, employees walk through every once in a while and see who's there. But they're
Yeah.
not, like, crazy strict about it or
That's
anything.
so funny, man. Wow.
But yeah.
Yeah, great
it's-
idea.
Yeah, nostalgia is king, as they
Yeah,
always say.
yes.
So was voiceover always like you do something on camera as well, but voiceover really seems to be
Yeah,
your forte.
well, I went to Princeton, majored in English. I love writing and I love reading and telling stories.
Oh, cool.
And so that sort of dovetails into theater, and I have a certificate in theater and dance. And then I ended up going to NYU graduate school for getting a master's in acting. And when I got out of graduate school, I did do some on-camera stuff, started doing stand-up comedy and sketch comedy. But once I returned back to Los Angeles, I was born here in Los Angeles. I ended up writing a one-person show, and an agent came to see it, and I played all these different characters with different voices.
Wow.
And she suggested, maybe you would enjoy animation. And so I went into the voiceover agency and I read for her, and she decided to sign me, as did the rest of the agency. And that's the agency I'm at now, CESD. And that was back in 1997. And within a year or so, I started booking so much work in voiceover and not a lot in on camera. I had a guest spot on Scrubs that was in like the second half of the pilot for Scrubs, and I thought, hey, I finally made it. And they said she was a recurring character, but every episode kept running long, so Becky, the medical intern, was not asked back.
Oh man,
I know. I thought I'd arrived.
that was one of one of those. Oh, this is going to be a.
It was so
years
much
of
fun.
work.
I got to play basketball with Zach Braff and Donald Faison, and it was a really funny character. But oh well. Anyway, so voiceover just became sort of all encompassing, and I decided to no longer pursue on camera because it's a lot going to all the on camera auditions and this and that. It was easier to just go where the love was, if you will.
Yeah.
And so I've made animation and commercials and video games and all these things my focus pretty much for, I don't know, maybe since 2001 on, somewhere around there. And it's been tons of fun.
Yeah, and it's been very successful for you. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I am curious. So since you started really mostly with video games and now you're doing mostly like animated series and stuff, what's the difference in the worlds of recording for you?
Oh, that's a great question. For video games, we record alone. So I'm always amazed, like some of the Star Wars video games that I've done, I've played different Jedi and stuff like that. And it's astonishing to me how well it edits together, because it seems like I'm in a Jedi council, but I was by myself in a room. Animated series are recorded, with the group if possible. Sometimes you get on shows where there are a lot of on-camera people and it's really hard to get everyone in the same room at the same time. But for the most part, at least with Star Wars Rebels, we were always together. With Guardians of the Galaxy, we were always together.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's pretty rare these days.
Yeah, and we were able to play off of each other, and it was sort of more like a radio play. So it's different in that sense. Whereas in commercial jobs, if you're an announcer or something like that, obviously you're by yourself. If it's a radio commercial where, characters are interacting, then, obviously they have us in the booth at the same time together to do that. But animation is definitely the most fun in terms of interacting consistently with colleagues. It's great.
I'm happy to hear that like that opportunity still exists, because I hear from so many people that it's usually alone. And like you said, I'm always amazed that it edits together so seamlessly. And
It's
obviously
crazy.
It's directors and editors who know what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, Young Justice, I was just talking about that the other day. Oftentimes for Young Justice, the character I played was Black Canary, and she was sort of like a counselor to the younger superheroes. And she would have individual scenes with people, but for the most part, I was by myself recording my lines.
Yeah.
And I could not believe how well it was perfect the way they put it all together. You'd think we were all there, but we weren't. Not always, but sometimes. But their ability to edit is really astonishing.
All of the types of games you do, they seem to lend themselves to like Comic-Cons and convention stuff. Do you do a lot of that stuff?
I do. I love it.
Yeah.
Because I used to go by myself just
to have fun.
Yeah, just because I love that stuff. So I think the first one that I went to, man, when was it? Maybe 2007 or 8, where I was on a panel for The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. I played Irwin. And I'd never done a panel in my life. And it was so bizarre to be on stage because I'm normally in the audience, fangirling out over this, that, or the other thing. So I sort of transitioned into that, and I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. And so when I was asked to be in Star Wars Rebels and be a part of that franchise, transitioning to be sort of on the panel for those things was also mind-boggling. So I love going to conventions. Now I get invited to sign autographs, and I love going because I love talking to people about anything and everything.
Yeah.
And we just have a blast. I have a bunch coming up. I think I'm going to, Emerald City in Seattle in March. And there are quite a few more that they're getting the contracts ready. So hopefully those will all come through, and I'll be buzzing around all over the place this year. So I'll say hello to everybody when I get there.
Have you done the D23 Expo, the Disney convention?
Yes, we did. I think it was not last year, maybe the year before. Guardians of the Galaxy did a panel.
Nice.
And,
Yes. I do remember that.
Yeah, we had a great time. It was, I guess that was in advance of, was it season 3? I guess it was for launching season 3.
The Expo was in 2017, so...
Yeah, I think they were premiering season 3, which happened in 2018.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so fun. I love that I love to hear when people love the product that they're making, because let's face it, in this industry, there's a lot of auditioning for stuff for work,
Sure.
but you're not necessarily a fan or something.
Right, or you don't even know what the heck you're talking about.
Yeah. Which I was curious about. I'm gonna list off some Lucasfilm titles that you were involved with. Let's get ready for this because it's lengthy. Star Wars Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, which was a video game.
Right.
Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, The Sith Lords, another video game. Star Wars The Old Republic, Star Wars Rebels Recon Missions. And then we get into some TV stuff with Lego Star Wars, The Freemaker Adventures.
Yes, that was great.
And Star Wars Forces of Destiny, Star Wars Rebels, and Lego Star Wars All-Stars.
Yeah.
It's a ton of Lucasfilm content.
Yes.
So was the first one, that first video game I mentioned,
Yes.
Jedi Knight 2?
I believe it was. I played Jan Ors in the video game.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that audition process, from what I've heard, correct me if I'm wrong, very secretive. Did you know what you were auditioning for?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, never, ever with anything for Lucasfilm. I have no clue what.
Even if it's something like you've worked with them so much, even still, if you get a Lucasfilm audition, you're not necessarily...
Not always. I don't know. It's usually called something else, and I figure it out.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
It's just really top secret. So.
So what was the first time you got that gig? Like, at what point do they tell you? When you're hired, I assume. Yeah.
Yeah. When I went to the callback for Star Wars Rebels, and I saw the artwork on the wall for the character, and I know that that's a Star Wars. It was a Twi'lek alien race.
Yeah.
And that helped to kind of solidify things. And then when I looked in the room where the producers were, there was Dave Filoni, who I'm a huge Clone Wars fan, and he, of course, had everything to do with that. And it was at that point that it dawned on me exactly what was transpiring, because the project was called Wolf.
Okay.
And so I thought it was some wolf cartoon. I don't know. Anyway.
At that point, they don't even know, like, how you're a pretty diehard Star Wars fan, it sounds like.
Yeah. Well, Greg Weisman was involved with Rebels at that point, and I'm sure he probably relayed that information to them.
Okay.
I had worked with him on Gargoyles and Spectacular Spider-Man.
You did Gargoyles, the animated series.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then I played Mary Jane in Spectacular Spider-Man with him, and then of course Black Canary and Young Justice, and then he was a part of launching Star Wars Rebels, and so yeah, he definitely, I'm sure, let them know I'm a bionic nerd. Not bragging, I'm just saying I'm pretty into it. So
I mean, that must be super helpful, at least in the Star Wars universe, because there's so many different things going on.
Yeah, I think it was helpful. It also some of the other characters, Taylor Gray, who played Ezra, he wasn't very familiar with Star Wars at all, but it actually worked for his character because we find him sort of in the nether regions of the galaxy and take him under our wing, and it was fun for the actor to learn about the world of Star Wars as the character was learning about the galaxy in general. So it sort of mirrored his own spiritual growth, and it was helpful. So I think it can go both ways, but I think for a character like Hera, where she's the leader of sorts and a mother figure and so on, it was better for her to have pretty vast knowledge of what was going on and what the stakes were and why these things mattered and basically how to explain everything to them. So, yeah.
Crazy. Now, with all of this Star Wars and Lucasfilm content you've done, have you gone to Skywalker Ranch?
I did. Yeah, I had a heart attack. It was amazing. I went, I think it was season 2, there was a wrap party up there, and I wept. It was like going home. We went to Rancho Obi-Wan, and they have the biggest Star Wars collection known to mankind up there. And I just took a billion pictures and tried to keep breathing.
That's so fantastic. So when did this Star Wars fandom start for you?
Well, the first movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way back when. And my aunt took me to see it. I was staying with my cousins in Colorado. And she said, come on, we're going to go see this thing. She didn't mention it was a space opera, But we all went together, and it just grabbed hold of me from that very first moment with the music. I just thought, what in the world is this? And then Carrie Fisher presented a kind of femininity that, even at, I guess I was age 10 at the time, I was a fan for life. I just hooked.
Wow, it's got to be amazing just to
Yeah.
You are consistently working in that world now. It's not like you had a quick little gig that you did. You are the one and only Harrison Dula, who, in a lot of cases, people are voicing characters that already exist.
Right.
Whereas you are her.
Right. I was able to sort of, bring her to life with them. Yeah, it was really profound. Yeah, probably one of the highlights of my life.
It's crazy. Now, tell folks a little bit about that character if they're not familiar with her.
Harrison Dula, she's a Twi'lek race. She has the brain tails. She's green. She's a pilot. She's skilled in combat, both, on land and in the air. And she gathered up this ragtag group of folks to create sort of the seedlings of the Rebel Alliance. Ultimately leading to, Princess Leia in the first film when she's saying, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope, that piece of information. She acquired that, on the backs of characters like you'll find in Star Wars Rebels. Simon Kinberg said he imagined what it was like in the Civil War when people were just sort of sitting around brainstorming and, here we are today. Who were those characters that were in the barn yakking? The unseen figures that have had such a profound impact on American history. Likewise, having to go between Episode 3 and Episode 4 in the Star Wars
the saga.
Kind of the saga. Yeah, they wanted to really explore the forming of the Rebel Alliance. And so Hera was tasked with picking a group of people for that exact reason. And she chose carefully and wisely, and they became a little family and went on all sorts of adventures. And, no spoilers. Season 4 is pretty packed with some new information. I don't know if folks are, storing those to binge watch, but it had quite a satisfying end. And we knew we had a beginning, middle, and an end because we only had so far to go. And I was very happy that it was realized in the way that Dave Filoni wanted and Lucasfilm and Disney wanted. And it was very, very well done. And I'm really grateful to have been able to bring out all those aspects in myself, my nurturing. I'm also a martial artist. But so I was able to sort of access my mom energy, although I don't have children, but it was a lot of fun to lead the group in that way and, parent them at times and also laugh with them and open my heart to let them in as a family. And I think Hera does the same. So it was really cool.
That's cool. Was that maybe your favorite Star Wars project? I know that's so hard to say, but that was the favorite one.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible to me. And so not only do you live in the Lucasfilm universe that Disney purchased, then there's the Marvel universe that Disney purchased.
Oh, yeah.
And you made your way over there with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Where you're Gamora.
Yeah.
Which is a bit different because you took over this role, right? Like somebody else played it. Zoe Saldana played it in the film. And
only the comic books had been written.
Okay.
And we had not seen the movie. The movie was not announced. It was tip-top, secret, this and that.
But it did come out before the series, right?
But not before we were cast and not
Interesting.
before we were recording.
No kidding.
And we were sworn to secrecy. So I had to guess what her voice might sound like. And I wasn't doing a voice match for Zoe. I didn't know she played the role. I didn't even know what we were doing.
That's so weird.
I know.
I wonder why they did that.
Because everything was so top secret.
But I'm surprised they didn't hold off on the animated series until after, because the film version tends to be the version that most people know, and then you try to match that.
Well, this was meant to hold people over as soon as the film ended.
Yeah, I guess so.
And so they created a ton of content to that end, and I couldn't wait to see the film so that I could then base my characterization more on what she had done.
Yeah.
But I remember we went to the opening of the film and we were still recording the cartoon. It had not been released. And I wasn't even allowed to say at the premiere that I'm voicing Gamora because obviously it hadn't been announced.
Yeah.
So the learning curve on that one was very unique. Yes, Zoe is sort of the one who originated the character. I had to backtrack after seeing the movie to make sure that I was holding up to what she did. But Marvel and Disney both knew what they were doing in their casting to hire people who were in. They said that they weren't voice matches. They weren't sound alikes. They were feel alikes.
Okay.
So David Soboleff, who plays Drax, felt like Drax from the movie as well, and they did a great job casting because we really do sort of have those personalities and naturally fall into that vocal range. So,
yeah, that's shocking to me.
I know. I know. Yeah, it
wow.
was really. I've never had an experience like that before or since.
Yeah. I am curious. Have you ridden Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout at Disney California Adventure?
I have not yet. I have not.
Are you scared of that?
A little bit. A little bit. That seems like a pretty intense fall. I can't wait to go down there, though.
You're going to do it? Okay.
Well, they invited us to go down to promote it, and we weren't able to do it at the end of last year. So I do hope season 3, there was a mid-season finale, and it's going to start, the rest of season 3 will start airing in the spring here pretty soon. And so I think they're trying to really promote that, and hopefully we'll get to go to down to Disneyland and ride the ride. So, and I think there's stuff at Walt Disney World too.
So they're building. They do have a show at Epcot that they do during the summertime.
That's
it. The big thing that they're building right now is like an indoor roller coaster at Epcot.
Oh,
so once
exciting.
That opens, that's going to be a pretty big deal. I'm trying to think the date. I don't think it's this year. I think it's maybe next year. Actually, I think they want it in time for the 50th, which would be 2021.
Oh my
gosh. But they're building it right now. It's massive. Like, Spaceship Earth, the giant.
Yeah. Do you get down there a lot?
At least once a year. I try and go.
Perfect.
I go, October is my sweet spot. I'm a huge Halloween fan.
Yeah.
So I love Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Orlando.
Yeah.
So I usually go during that time and then enjoy, a week at Walt Disney World as well.
Perfect.
It's the perfect time of year. Like for the last 4 or 5 years I've done this, and it's always the last 2 weeks of October. I'll go sometime, and the weather is great. It's not insanely crowded.
Right.
I get to spend my favorite time of year at one of my favorite Halloween events in the country.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
But it's crazy how big the Guardians attraction is going to be in Epcot because, that giant Spaceship Earth globe that they have.
Sure.
It's immediately to the left of that as you look at the entrance, and it's like it's trumping the globe.
Right.
Like it's crazy how big this coaster is going to be.
Yeah. I had heard something about that, but I wasn't sure what the time frame was, so that's exciting.
Yeah.
Who knows? There's always so much to do. I can't wait.
Well, and it's kind of nice because like Florida has that weird contract because Universal Studios has Marvel properties in their park.
Oh, that's right.
So there's a ton of Marvel characters that like Disney legally cannot use.
Oh,
but
right.
Guardians kind of slipped through.
Sure.
And because of that, you're seeing Guardians in a lot of places there.
Oh, that's great.
So it kind of worked out for them pretty nicely that that blew up. That film blew up. And then they
much fun.
Luckily for them, they had the animated series right there ready to go.
Right,
So,
exactly.
So it worked well. Now, have we heard your voice in the park anywhere? Have you ever done park voiceover?
In Star Tours.
Really?
Here.
Okay.
Yes. I think I played a rebel pilot gassing an X-Wing fighter. And I think I was a Wookiee. Something like that, and a couple other aliens. There were all sorts of because I've not heard my voice. I heard it as the pilot, but
and that's here and in Florida. They have that, so that's really cool too. But so that's got to be a little frustrating. They're like, listen, you got to talk to somebody. Listen, I'm the voice on this segment. Can you please let me?
I've got to write it until I at least hit that one.
That's really, really fun.
Yeah.
If you could do voiceover for like anything in the parks, are there any like favorite attractions or something? You're like, oh, I wish I could be part. Like they just re-recorded for Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right, that would have been amazing. Grey Delisle, I think. Yeah.
Did she get it?
She did.
Oh, good. I was moderating a panel that she was on, and she told me she had just auditioned for that.
Yeah, she did.
And she did get it. All right, cool.
Yeah, she did. And I wouldn't mind being in the Haunted Mansion. That would be cool. I don't know what they would add to it, but
if they record The Bride or something,
maybe. Who knows?
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, with so much Star Wars stuff in your repertoire, any chance we're going to hear you in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in the parks?
I have no idea. We'll see.
Have you been recording anything top secret that you're not?
We'll have to learn together.
That would be pretty epic.
Oh yeah.
I mean, as a Star Wars fan, you must be so excited just for that in general.
Absolutely. Yeah, that can't come soon enough.
You're like, oh, get me those press passes now.
Right,
I need those special guest passes.
Yeah. We'll see. Gosh, man. That'll be amazing.
Yeah. It's going to be wild. I mean, it's going to be a game changer. I'm terrified of it as excited as I am.
Yeah.
It's just going to change the whole landscape of the Disneyland Resort.
This is true.
And then, Florida later in the year. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
It'll be crazy.
Yeah.
And you know about the hotel, right?
Yes, I heard about that.
That's going to be
completely
wild.
Immersive experience. Yeah.
It's going to be so crazy.
I don't know. That might blow my mind. I don't know if I can.
You're like, I don't know. Listen, you went to Skywalker Ranch and survived. I think you can handle the hotel.
All right.
You'll be good. It'll be awesome.
Get some blue milk. I'll be all right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. Any current projects you want to let folks know about before we wrap things up here?
Well, just that the season 3 of Guardians of the Galaxy is soon to premiere, or the conclusion of it anyway. And I have a few video games that I'll be announcing and a couple other cartoon series that I'm not allowed to discuss yet, but people can find me on Twitter at Van Marshall, or on Instagram at Vanessa Marshall 1138.
Is that like THX 1138?
Yes, exactly.
I love it.
A little ode to Mr. Lucas. You can look there for updates, and as soon as I can announce these things, I can't wait. There's some fun stuff coming out.
Perhaps Galaxy's Edge. Maybe it's Galaxy's Edge.
Perhaps.
I don't know. We'll see.
Who knows?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to have been here. Thank you.
I hope you folks enjoyed that interview, but now it's trivia time! And today on Trivia Time, I have my good buddy Preston here with me. Hello, Preston. How's it going?
Pretty good, Jeff. How are you?
Good. Happy to have you here. Now, you are actually, you helped me out with the Disney Coast to Coast Instagram, where you very often post on the story portion of Instagram. So thank you for doing that. But on top of that, you're also a patron of Disney Coast to Coast over at patreon.com/DisneyCTC, allowing you to be part of Trivia Time today. So thank you for being a patron, Preston.
Yeah, of course. I love being a patron. You guys should definitely check it out too if you haven't yet. There's a lot of good perks that you get if you are one.
Thank you, Preston. So let's jump into today's trivia. So do you want to hit me with a trivia question first, or shall I hit you?
I will hit you first.
Okay, let's see. I'm a little scared with this one, but let's see how it goes.
I'm scared of mine too. All right, so my question is, the Star Wars universe is obviously very complex. So my question for you is, do you know which two Star Wars films the Star Wars Rebels series begins in between? And then I also have a second part of that question when you get the first part.
Okay, so Star Wars Rebels is between two of the saga films. Oh, I should know this. I don't know it. I'm going to guess it's between episodes 4 and 5. It's between 4 and 5.
You're close. You're really, really close.
Was I saying it correctly the first time? Is it 3 and 4?
It's 3 and 4, yeah.
3 and 4, okay. There's a lot of... I know Clone Wars is between... No, is Clone Wars between 3 and 4? I don't even know.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm so bad when it comes to the whole timeline stuff, but there is a large amount of time that took place between episodes 3 and 4, so it's always kind of a good guess just to say between 3 and 4. So, okay, so Rebels is between 3 and 4, and what was the second part of your question?
Okay, so part 2 is, do you know how many years after it takes place? Do you know how many years it takes after episode 3 and how many years before it is of episode 4?
Oh, gosh. So between 3 and 4, there's about... So at the end of episode 3, he becomes Darth Vader. At the beginning of episode 4, we meet Luke Skywalker. So there's about, 18 to 20 years there, I would say. So your question was what? How many years after... Rebels
after episode 3.
After episode 3, does Rebels start? I'm going to say, let's just go in the somewhat middle there, 10 years.
A little higher. You're getting there, though.
12 years.
The answer is 14 years after.
14 years, so it's closer to episode 4 than it is to episode 3.
Yeah, so it's 14 years after and 5 years before.
I don't know how people keep all of that stuff in their heads. I mean, people say the same to me about, like, Disney stuff where like, I don't know how you remember all this stuff, but the Star Wars universe. I know there's a lot of people out there who like their dream job is to be on the Lucasfilm like story team where it's their job to just make sure everything's in order. It's actually like a nightmare job for me.
Oh, it's unbelievable how like complex and it's just crazy to me.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Well, for you, I have a question, which is, how many Star Wars animated series have actually aired on television?
Oh, wow.
In all time. How many Star Wars animated series have aired on television?
Oh, gosh. I have no idea how to gauge that. The
first one was in 1985.
Okay.
And then, of course, they're still going today.
I'm sure we're in the double digits, right?
No, we're not.
We're not.
No, it's not a super high number.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess. Let's go 7.
Close-ish. It's actually 5.
Okay,
and
5.
From 1985 to 86, there was a show called Droids with 13 episodes. From 85 to 86, there was also a show called Ewoks with 35 episodes. I actually remember, I'm old enough to remember walking through the Blockbuster video aisles and seeing those two sitting on the shelf. So Droids, Ewoks, and then years later, from 2008 to 2014 plus 2019, was the Clone Wars, which got 121 episodes, Rebels with 75 episodes, and Resistance, which of course is currently running. So those are the 5 shows. There was a 6th show that never really made it to air. There's a show called Star Wars Detours, and it's an unaired animated parody series from the creators of Robot Chicken, which was postponed in 2013 and ultimately unaired. So
interesting.
There was maybe going to be a 6th one, but they didn't get that far, so they got to 5. But so
have you watched any of them?
I did watch some Clone Wars stuff. I'm one of those people that I actually really enjoyed the prequels because those were like my generation's new Star Wars movies. So for me, of course, I knew what Star Wars was growing up, but my first real Star Wars introduction was the 1997, I believe, special edition re-releases of the original trilogy. As much as I loved those, like the new Star Wars movies for me were episodes 1, 2, 3, and I don't hate them nearly as much as many people do. In fact, episode 3 is one of my absolute favorites. Like if you ask me what my favorite Star Wars films are, they're episodes 3 and 5. Like those are my 2 favorites. Do you have a favorite one?
For me, it's probably just it's because the new age ones are the only ones I've been able to see in theaters.
Yeah.
So
that's right, because they haven't really re-released them for you, have they? I mean, I guess they've had special things. I think they've had like marathons when like some of the new ones came out at the El Capitan or something. But yeah, that's right. And that's why, honestly, I hadn't seen the originals when I was a kid, because the only way I could see them was like on VHS. And I was just, I don't know, I didn't care enough to watch them that way. But when they re-released them in theaters to like prep people for the new films, that was very exciting to me. And of course, you know, they tinkered with them and they added some effects and stuff into the films, which angered a lot of people. But for me, I'm like, well, this is just the way I know it. So it didn't anger me that much. But I got it when they started messing with, when Steven Spielberg re-released E.T. for the 20th anniversary and made changes to it. I was livid. And I was like, oh, this is how Star Wars fans feel. Now I get it. But sorry, so you were saying the only ones you've seen in theaters are the new ones.
The Last Jedi and Force Awakens. And I'm just a person who prefers The Force Awakens over The Last Jedi. I don't know about you, but I just preferred The Force Awakens. So that's probably my favorite Star Wars film.
Yeah, both of them, I was like, these are fun. I like them. I'm such a casual Star Wars fan that they're just fun for me. So when people get like really upset about these things, I don't relate. I don't relate when it comes to Star Wars, but I can certainly relate when it comes to like, you know, a franchise you love, in your opinion, being messed with. So I get it, but yeah. Anyway, we were both pretty terrible at that trivia, I will say.
I know we were. That was not good.
But at least we learned something new. So Preston, thank you so much for coming on Trivia Time today.
Thank you for having me, Jeff.
Now, folks, if you'd like to be a guest on Trivia Time just like Preston, head to patreon.com/DizneyCTC to find out how. While you're there, check out the other rewards you can get by becoming part of the DCTC community. That's patreon.com/DIZNEYCTC. You can also find a link over at DisneyCoastToCoast.com where you can sign up to receive our monthly music playlist, find our social media links, and so much more. Other than that, folks, have a magical day. Bye!
Thanks for listening to Disney Coast to Coast. Have a magical day.
Disney Coast to Coast is produced and hosted by Jeff DePauli. Learn more about the podcast and become a supporter at DisneyCoastToCoast.com.